The Muslim Thoughts Podcast.
Striving for Jannah. Striving for Jannah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, sisters. Welcome back to another episode of the Muslim Thoughts Podcast run by us, NW Sisters. Today on the panel we have myself, Aisha, we have Hola,
Assalamualaikum.
we have Zay,
Assalamualaikum.
and we have Lima.
Assalamualaikum.
So before we begin today's episode, which will be centered around Ramadan and prepping for it, and a focus on Ibaadah and how to sort of manage our time during Ramadan, especially in our really busy lives. Before we get to that, it's been quite a while since we've released an episode and spoken to you guys. So let's just give a quick update, guys. What have you been up to?
So I'll start us off. I think what jumps to mind last time we spoke, I think it was just me and Aisha. I was in Morocco and I was giving an update about like uni life and stuff like that. And I was just basically saying, I don't know if I got into uni yet or whatever. I just want to put a disclaimer that I was being stupid and I had got in the whole time and I just didn't realize because I didn't check my emails. So yeah, alhamdulillah, I'm at UCL, guys, and it's lovely, alhamdulillah, and I'm enjoying the uni life. It's very stressful, and I think we'll basically be speaking about how we can balance that with the times that are coming up with Ramadan and stuff. But alhamdulillah, I can't complain. It's been good.
It's also your first Ramadan in uni, isn't it? So that's going to be a whole different story with deadlines in uni and exams and stuff. So yeah.
I think maybe I'll be able to handle it better than previous Ramadans though, because even with like GCSEs, A-level stuff like that, it's very much like exam oriented, even during like the Ramadan time. So like you don't really get to go to Tarawih and you don't really get to do, all of that stuff. But now I think uni is a bit more relaxed, right? A bit more chill.
Depends on what year of uni you're in.
Okay, I have it easy. First year.
Cool, alhamdulillah. And Lima, what about you? I know for a fact you've got an update.
Alhamdulillah, yes. Since we last did a podcast, I've actually, moved to Saudi. Alhamdulillah.
With your husband?
Yeah.
Not myself.
With my husband, yes, we moved, alhamdulillah. So I've been here now? I believe I've been here for like 5 months now. Or no, 4 months. In this country, 4 or 5 months. It's really good. Alhamdulillah, I'm really enjoying it. I've settled down well. I'm really excited for Ramadan. Same with like as Khola's saying is that just seeing how she'll do with uni and like a new experience from what it's done before. But Ramadan in a Muslim country, I'm really, really excited to see like the differences of. I mean, I can't lie. Like UK always had a vibe, like the communities. In the masjid, and you used to it like the iftars in like nadis and praying tarawih like with your friends and family was really, really nice, and there was just a vibe there. But obviously in a Muslim country, like everyone's just telling me like it's just different, it's amazing. I've met some people just saying like Ramadan here, like they were just like they're getting me all excited, so I can't wait, inshallah, and hopefully I'll be able to share the experience one day once I've done it. But everyone's first Ramadan in a different, like with like a different lifestyle or a different thing, like it's gonna be different. Like usually when you're not married, it's like your mum's like in the kitchen, your family, like I feel like we're focusing less on we're able to focus more on our ibadah and more on our stuff. So I just want to see like if I can balance Ramadan with a husband. Like how much am I going to be in the kitchen, or how much am I going to be doing this? I want to see if I can like keep up to like my targets and my goals, inshallah. And yeah, hopefully it all goes good, inshallah, and I make the most of it.
Inshallah, I'll try and give you a few preps for that one as we go along. Updates from me, I don't think I have any updates, but I guess if I'm going to build on from what Lima is saying, it is my second Ramadan being married and working at the same time. So I guess doing it better than I did last time and seeing if I can learn from what I've done and so on. But other than that, yeah, I've been leading a pretty, life with no updates in it, I guess.
You're in a life of consistency, alhamdulillah. At least you've got a bit of normalcy.
I guess, yeah.
That's good though. Last year was very eventful for I think everyone here. So alhamdulillah, it's been a nice, chill, consistent year.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so like I said before, the focus of our episode today is Ibaadah. So starting from that, what kind of Ibaadah do we want to focus on in Ramadan? We've grown up, fasting and praying, etc. So I don't think it really changes. But is there anything specific that we want to, increase or improve on, etc.?
For me personally, I feel like every Ramadan comes and goes, and I've always wanted to recap first of all what I've learned during Ramadan. What I've learned from the Quran, so revise it, but also dive deeper into the tafsir of it, and that has been an ongoing goal for me. Fortunately, I'm yet to meet it. I do dip in and out of the tafsir aspects of it, but not as much as I would love to. Also completing the Quran. I mean, it's been going up and down. There are Ramadans that I do complete the whole Quran in terms of reading it. There are times where I don't, but most of the days, I do try my best to read a good portion of the Quran. But I want consistency, to be honest, this Ramadan. I really want, if I said to myself at the beginning, I'm going to read 10 pages a day, I'm going to do that every day. That's my aim for this Ramadan. I'm going to set myself that target and try my best to carry on with it. And now the question is, am I going to carry it on or not? We'll find out in just over 30 days, I guess.
I think even with just like setting that goal, but also maybe a solution, because I know that's probably a very common struggle, especially with people who are, who have children or who work. It's so hard trying to find that routine. Because when you have a set routine, at least you can say in your daily lives, this is when I'm going to do it. I've gotten home, I can do it. But when you're working or you have children, especially if you have children, you have to anticipate different things. Like, I've got this meeting now and I can't get home on time. Or my child has this. And then you have to sort of adjust your routine. So I think maybe Ramadan, a solution could be to find that one specific time or several times if you're trying to complete the Quran to read it. And then that way, because you have that Ramadan routine we all try to get to make sure it's on point and you're not lacking consistency.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess timetabling it and assessing ourselves beforehand. I mean, this is a reminder to me. I actually need to start doing this someday today, or maybe before the end of the week. I need to actually get this done. I should have done it ages ago, but figure out when my less busy times are, I guess, and slot that and make sure that is the time I allocate for my reading of the Quran and my goals and aims for the month.
Yeah, I think with anything though, like even if you don't, I think like you don't have to do so much where like you're doing so much and then all of a sudden you get burnt out like after the first week of Ramadan, and then it becomes like oh, you're not doing this, you're not reaching that, and then you're kind of worrying like you haven't reached that. Whereas what, like you said, if you're doing small things, like let's say you set yourself, let's read 5 pages every day and like do this, but it's like something small, but because you're consistent, it weighs heavier, if that makes sense, because it's something that you're consistently doing, and that inshallah once Ramadan is finished, one thing I always used to say is whatever I do in Ramadan, obviously I want it to continue, so I won't give myself too much that it's unrealistic to when like normal life comes back. I'm not stopping all those things I tried to achieve during Ramadan. So if you try and like set like a nice pace during Ramadan that you can be consistent inshallah till the next Ramadan, and it will fit in with whatever kind of schedule you have, then that would work so much better. Because the worst thing to do is like come out of Ramadan like leaving off all that you've tried to change and accomplish during that month,
and then overburdening yourself with all these goals that you haven't planned realistically, then like sort of decreases your motivation as well. Because if you're saying, I'm going to read 50 pages of the Quran a day, and you know very well that you're not going to find the time just because of the way your schedule is, then it can really decrease your motivation, and then you end up losing that consistency. So I think probably our first point, you know, is thinking about your own schedule and how you can balance that. And seeing as we're all in quite different situations, like us four here, then perhaps we can, and our audience who are listening could be from one of our situations. So for those of you who are, well, I know that Kola, you're at uni, how would you advise, and just previously, even though this is your first Ramadan at uni, how are you sort of like preparing for it, or in previous times when you've done exams, and anyone else who's done exams or, you know, work in Ramadan?
To be very honest, I don't think I'm the best person to be dishing out advice, because even up until now, I'm not the greatest at handling my time during Ramadan. I tend to focus on like one thing over the other too much. And then it's like what you guys mentioned about losing motivation and overburdening yourself. Like I tend to get quite motivated at the start and thinking like, yeah, I'm definitely going to balance my education. I'm definitely going to balance it with like all my ibadah that I planned. And then it kind of fizzles out, and then you're just in a slump by the second week. So I don't think I'm the best at, I'll give it a go though. I think mainly what I'm going to plan to do, inshallah, is something that I'm mostly like against, and I'm always going off like, oh, I don't think it works, timetable your time, it doesn't make any sense. Like once you get into the routine, you'll be able to do it, but giving yourself a strict timetable, I've never thought it worked. But I think there comes a time for it. Times that are like super busy like this, where you have a lot of responsibilities and you have a lot of things to get done. And I cannot even start on my exam timetable and my assignments that I have to give in right now. It's honestly quite a bit. But I think it's at these times where you just see the benefit of organizing your time very well and keeping to it as well. That's another thing that I tend to not do, even if I like go on and timetable my time. And I say, okay, I'll give myself an hour to do this. Then you get distracted and you spend like half an hour, do something else. And you're like, oh, but I do still need to spend this hour on this task. And then like you've run half an hour into your next task. Stuff like that. You just need a bit more discipline, which is why it's honestly the wisest thing. And the Salaf used to spend like half the year before Ramadan, you know, supplicating to reach it and preparing for it, which is why like it makes sense to build up the discipline before you even get to Ramadan, not wait until like the week before, or like once you've started Ramadan to like try prep for it and be like, okay, I'm gonna start now and I'm gonna like be disciplined, because discipline takes a long time to build up. I think it's a bit too late for this reminder, to be honest, because we're less than a week away from Ramadan, but you can still implement it at the start of your Ramadan. Once you get in, try to set yourself those goals, discipline yourself. Once I say I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And also dua as well. Dua is really important, because we can't imagine like how we would be able to handle all of this stuff that we got going on, but we've done it in the past before and we've survived, and we've come out and we've done well, alhamdulillah. So it's all in Allah's hands, and like even if we can't fathom it, like of course Allah is the most powerful, He's able to make it work out for us. So just to make Allah to make that to Allah, to make it easier for us and allow us to balance everything. And at the end of the day, Ramadan is the month of the Quran, so that's what I think we should be focusing on the most. Like even if we do have all these other things, all your exams, all your assignments coming up and stuff, you should still give the biggest portion of your time to the Quran, because when you love something, you dedicate the most time to it. You can't love something and not give it time, because it would just show you that you don't truly love that thing after all, as much as you claim you do.
Yeah, I think as well, like you said, like Quran is like the big, like not the biggest, but it's like it was the month like of Quran, and like that's very, very important. So making sure that you're giving time to that, whether it's with like memorization or tafsir, understanding it, or just reading it and working on your reading and trying to finish at least finish the Quran once. Obviously, like it'd be amazing to be like the Sahaba in the past who read it like 3 times in Ramadan, but for us, like obviously with busy schedules, it's like as long as we can do it once, like and being able to finish the Quran once in Ramadan, at least we feel like we've accomplished a big portion of, you know, what Ramadan is about. And then dua, I think, you know, dua can be made at any time in the day, whether you're busy, whether in your uni, whether like, you know, so being on top of dua like consistently during Ramadan is very, very, I would say like holds like, a, you know, a big weight also, you know, just like, you know, a lot of like, you know, mercy, a lot of forgiveness in that month. And, you know, the last 10 days as well, just making the most of dua and, you know, thanking Allah. You know, we never know when you're going to see the next Ramadan, just so being grateful, thanking Allah for, you know, everything, you know, he's given you thus so far, and trying to live each Ramadan as if it's your last. I know, like we said, you don't want to overburden yourself and stuff, but you want to come out of Ramadan knowing you did your best. Because like how many people, like, you know, we see like someone like, you know, someone's, you know, left us, you know, they've, you know, gone back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you realize like they're not going to actually see the next Ramadan, and you think like, wow, like a couple of days before Ramadan, and like, you know, we're going to janazah, we're going to this, or, you know, so it's just like, yeah, you need to think about, you know, each Ramadan, trying to make the most of it, because you never know if we're going to get to live to see another one. And it just puts it into more perspective of like how much you want to have that. Because like if I look back at it, it's never like I regret, but I'm always like, oh, last Ramadan, you know what, I want to do like this much more better than last Ramadan, and, you know, give myself new goals based on that. Like even here, even though I've never been in the same situation as you guys, Allah Mubarak, like I've never worked in Ramadan, or I've never had that, I've never had to go to school whilst fasting. Like I was homeschooled, so most of my Ramadans were with my family anyway, and during Ramadan we'd focus a lot more on like Islamic studies and stuff rather than, you know, Western studies, to be honest. So I always felt like that was part of Ramadan, like my dad doing Quran with me, my dad, you know, doing tafsir with me, or like doing these small things as like our lessons was like good for us. It just kind of added into like our Ibaadah. Even now in Saudi, I don't, you know, I haven't been like, you know, working like, I don't really work here in like general. I might have like a couple of like, you know, students here and there, but like during Ramadan they don't, like they prefer to have like, you know, Ramadan without that, like without going to like learn you know, secular studies and whatnot. Not everyone, but some people. So even then, like I'm gonna go to school to learn Arabic for like 2 days in Ramadan, not 2 days, 1 week in Ramadan. And then, but with that, we do Islamic studies, we do Arabic, we do Quran. So that stuff I just feel like is also an aid for me in like, I'll be getting a reward like for, you know, the hifz I come back to my teacher in Ramadan and the classes I do. So I don't feel like I'm going like away, like I have to balance anything bad. I feel like the way my schedule's going to work here, like everything I'll be doing, inshallah, will be a form of ibadah. Like just even the studies I do, like with like I'm doing tafsir and fiqh and all these like sciences, then I just feel like it's gonna aid me. So I don't want to get too like, I don't want to be I don't want to say, oh, like I'm gonna have like major struggles. It's gonna be bad for me to be like, because I don't have so much going on, for me not to do the best I can this Ramadan, like reading the Quran and stuff, because I'm not it'd be a bit bad for me to say, oh, like it's my first Ramadan of my husband, like how much can my husband affect the Ramadan, you know?
Yeah.
Like obviously it's going to be different. I'm going to be in that shoes of like what we see our parents to be, you know, making sure like you know, the house is managed, you know, iftar is ready, but even that is only 2 people, you know, so it shouldn't take up most of my day. It'll be far-fetched to be like, oh, I'm gonna blame the fact that it's my first Ramadan married that I didn't do my best, you know. It's kind of bad. So I just feel like I'm gonna, like, all these things that I'm doing, I just feel like it's gonna aid me in doing my best this Ramadan, inshallah. So I'm actually excited for it, but I can't say it's the level of, oh, like I understand what people go through, like working or studying during that time, because I've never had, alhamdulillah, like, you know, save me from that, but I've never had to experience that. So I see it as being difficult. And like another thing you can remember is with every hardship like becomes easier. Allah's going to reward you for all that. You're going to get a reward for like your hardships that you're going through in Ramadan in order to do your best for him. You know, if you're still reading Quran despite your busy schedule, you know, you're going to be getting reward for that based on the fact that you've got good intentions and you're trying your best. So I wouldn't say like put yourselves down like, oh, you know, I wish I was like, you know, not at work in this, because obviously we all wish for like that, but you know, remember like that struggle, you're going to get a reward for it, inshallah.
Definitely, inshallah. And I think it's a really good point. Like you talking about your experience and the experience of other people. And I think it just, whilst you were talking, it just made me think about how, you know, when you're younger and you do Ramadan, it's so exciting because you feel like you've achieved so much by not eating, and then increasing your ibadah just as a child, and then even as a teenager. And I was just thinking, even when I was at uni and how Ramadan it was, and even like Zay, even for you, I feel like we've had pretty much the same journey when it comes to education and work, literally. But I feel like now Ramadan when working is the most difficult, I find. Even when I was at uni, and even when I was younger, obviously when you're younger you have less, I guess, demanding work, etc., and your parents do everything for you. But now, I don't know if you agree as well, Zay, but it's just the exhaustion, you know, during Ramadan when you're tired. It's just it gets to you more, the headaches come more. And I've never experienced that before, not even at uni or at school, because it's just much more demanding. And I don't know how people have children, a family, and go to work. I don't know how they do it in Ramadan, man. There's only so many hours in the day, and there's so many tasks you have to do, in addition to making sure you're staying consistent with your ibadah and making the most of Ramadan.
100%, I totally agree with you. Honestly, balancing. When I was in uni, I was working at the same time in a nursery. And I remember literally using my lunch times to sleep, and then my journey to and from work was my ibadah Quran time. But even then, I was still knock off on public transport. Totally not recommended. Please don't sleep on public transport. But
Do not.
Honestly, and now as I'm teaching, it's like, I think it was this week that I was talking, and I had to send the child to go fill my water bottle because it got to 15 minutes into the lesson and I've already finished a water bottle. So done that, and then I stopped and I'm like, Ramadan is next week. How am I gonna manage if I just finished the whole water bottle?
And that's why I meant that when you're in school or at university, it was still hard with university, because from my own experience of Ramadan at university, it's the time constraints, because you have deadlines to meet, and you have to sort of organize your timetable to make sure you're doing the ibadah, but you're also, you know, revising for exams, but you're also 100%. Doing coursework. But at work, it's like there's no breaks. It's just one thing after another. And I think because of the nature of our job as well, my brother, he was just showing off the other day because he's a software engineer, but he's working from home ever since the whole COVID thing, you know, the pandemic began. So because he works from home, he's just like, I told my workplace that I'm fasting, so I'm gonna work from home. And so now they've given him the whole of Ramadan like to work from home. He doesn't have to go into the office.
Can we do that?
He's honestly, I wish. So he's going to be on a computer screen. But for us, it's like, I think it depends on the nature of your job as well, because we, from 9 o'clock to 3:30, are talking and walking and telling children off and giving instructions and teaching constantly.
And repeating the instructions again at least 5 times.
At least 50 times, multiply that by 10. So it's just, and then when you come home, because we're older, I can't just be like, oh, my mum's going to do it. I have to do the housework. Then you have to make iftar, then you have to do your ibadah, then there's more work that you have to do as well. It's just, the older you get, it's like the less time you have. And I'm a bit worried that this Ramadan's coming up and you have more things to do than ever.
I feel like one thing that helped me last year, being, you know, first Ramadan with my husband and so on, what helped me is, and I think I got into the habit of doing the food prep the night before or 2 nights in advance. So I would food prep and literally put it in containers and put it in the fridge, because there's no way I'm going to come and do it after work. It's just, I know I would love to have fresh food, but yeah, I don't know when the meeting's going to finish at that point.
I think that's a really, really good tip for sisters or anyone listening. If you are very busy, if you're like a mom, or if you're a uni student living by yourself, or even at home just generally, we don't meal prep, but we plan in advance what we're going to make and making sure we've got the ingredients ready rather than having to rush. And I think having that burden off your head, like, oh, what we're going to have for iftar, you know what I mean? You can come home, relax, knowing there's not another task to do, and you can actually focus on your ibadah instead.
But also be smart about it. I mean, Ramadan's not only about food and so on.
Yeah, it really isn't.
If you cook a bolognese, let's say, you're going to make it for pasta one day, put it in a pasta bake the next 2 days later.
Yeah.
I mean, think about foods that will stay fresh longer in the fridge, sort of thing. Like, for example, if you make a curry, you can alternate between that and whatever not, and make the rice fresh, which only is going to take you 20 minutes before the adhan goes off. So you sort of free in your time to do, to have more time on your hands to focus on yourself and on your deen and on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then at the same time, you still are feeding yourself and making sure that iftar is ready on time, because, all about ensuring that you'll eat as soon as the adhan goes off and not to delay breaking your fast and so on. And then leftovers can be eaten for suhoor.
I was saying, I was speaking about this the other day, and I was just saying how I don't know about I know a lot when people talk about Ramadan, they talk about the food and the iftar and all of this and the vibe of family and stuff. I don't know what it's like for every culture though, but I know in Asian culture in general, you always just see as growing up, whenever you go, aunties in the kitchen this or preparing food, and I just feel like they're in the kitchen from 2 till almost iftar time. I'm thinking how are you in the kitchen all day? I could never do that. I could never be in the kitchen all day. I just feel I'm not even working, but I'm just in the kitchen all day, and I just feel that's you're putting a ban on yourself. Food is nice, you want to have a nice iftar, but then you don't want to eat too much either. Every time we have a big feast during Ramadan, I never eat hardly anything there because I feel more full. I can't explain it. I feel full more quickly, and I feel I would never be able to pray Tarawih or Qiyam or anything or Tahajjud, just based on the fact that I'm so full. I would not be able to stand and pray. I would just feel sleepy. So I eat actually less in Ramadan than I do on a general day. But then you have every bit of food, and I just feel it also sometimes I always see waste. It's just not in household, but in families, I'm just subhanAllah, how could you be wasting, or how can you be in the kitchen, or a mum doesn't want to I used to feel bad I'm not eating a lot, but I can see this auntie or this person has cooked so much food and I'm not even eating a lot of it based on the fact that it's thing, but then she's spent all that time in the kitchen trying to make this meal, and you just feel bad, and you just think. So what I was doing for this Ramadan, I was just saying it's I don't meal prep because I don't have the space for that, but I prepare all of for example, I've cut a whole load of onions. I've chopped some and I've sliced some based on what I'm gonna make, and then I just freeze them so that when I have to go and cook, I just literally, the onions already cut, I can put them straight in and just make anything very fast. And then think one of you guys said, I basically also meal prep. That's one of the best things you can do, because you buy the ingredients knowing that you're going to make that, and rather than because I have a really bad habit of being what should I make today, and I'll be saying that for a good 45 minutes. What should I make today?
Same.
So what I do, I start writing it all down. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, usually I try to cook for 2 days. And Zay made a really good point about for example, if you make bolognese, you can make you can make spaghetti with that, then you can put it in a pasta bake, then you can even make a lasagna. You can have the same, or you can make a big batch of minced meat, and then just put it into so many different things. You can put it into a pie, you can put it you can make a shepherd's pie with it. There's so many different things you can do with that one bit of meat mince, and you've already saved yourself a good deal of time. And like you said, like if you're married or you have kids, the last thing you want to do when you get back from work is to go into the kitchen and have to like prepare iftar when you could be reading Quran or reading like a book or reading like something official in that time. So you preparing for before that. You know, when everyone says Ramadan prep, I think it's based on physically, like we're making sure like
100%.
you're making the month a lot easier for yourself, but then also preparing yourself mentally. I literally asked someone here the other day, like, oh, are you prepared for Ramadan? And like the first thing she said to me was, I haven't prepared myself like mentally yet. Like I need to like spiritually prepare myself. And that's one thing I used to believe, yes, you need to do. Like I used to always try and fast as many days as I could before Ramadan came, so that I could feel like I'm already in that Ramadan like spirit. And I would start like reading like my like 4 pages after each salah, just like 10 days before. So I was already in that practice, because when you just start straight, I feel like on the first day of Ramadan, it becomes like the hardest day because it's so different from your normal schedule, and then you're trying to balance so much. If you start like a little bit, like even if it's like you give yourself a week before the first day of Ramadan, preparing yourself with Quran, preparing yourself with Dua, preparing yourself with just like, you know, and making sure you're doing like a lot of dhikr and remembrance of Allah, and, you know, reading Islamic books and just preparing your mind, then I feel like you're more in the swing of things when Ramadan actually starts.
I think that's a really, really good point. And I think, you know, the point about preparing yourself mentally and spiritually is so important, because I feel like now, Ramadan, I feel like to not completely the same as like Christmas or Easter, etc., but it's a little bit more commercialized. And even like supermarkets in the UK, as soon as Ramadan's about to start, there's like adverts for it, and for samosas and for dates and for flour and like all these ingredients. And they're really, you know, like you go into Asda and it's got this whole Ramadan thing with the moon and the star and everything. I'm like, wow, look at them technology, guys. But you know that it's because it's now, you know, being commercialized, and different products that are coming out. And even, I know this sounds a bit bad, but even on like Instagram, I see all these things like gadgets or, you know,
decorations and so on. Yeah,
like catered towards Ramadan. And I get why people do that. And I get the whole thing about trying to engage your children in Ramadan, or trying to even motivate yourself, because you might not be ready for Ramadan. But when you put so much of your prep into the food you're going to eat and the activities you're going to do, you've not, like Lima said, prepared yourself spiritually, because you spent so much time focusing on that. And Ramadan has become this thing that we look forward to all year, but perhaps, you know, we have to approach it with a kind of a different mindset, that we're preparing ourselves spiritually for it, and not all the other physical things.
I think that's true, to be honest. Like what Lima said about, you know, on the first day, like you're like excited to start and everything, and you feel like you can't handle it because this is the first time like you're changing your habits in such a long time. That's like, it's not a good feeling, honestly. For anyone that's thought of that, it's not good. It's not a great feeling, because you're all, like as Aisha said as well, like you're looking forward to Ramadan the whole year. And now every bit of prep you've done is focused on purely physical stuff. And you know what? Yeah, shout out to the companies. They're getting their money in that, but you can't just put your whole focus on, or like, look at this Ramadan journal. Like how cute is it? Like all the Ramadan countdown calendar and all of those things. Like, you think that stuff is gonna prepare you, and you think that that's so helpful to you, but you're grounded in the wrong thing. You're grounded in purely aesthetic and material like stuff, but the work inside hasn't been done. Do you get it? That's just something. And like the Lima, you made a point earlier about regret. I was like, yeah, that hit deep. It's true. It's like every time Ramadan's done, you're like, oh, I wish. Like I know I was tired, and I was like really needed my sleep that night, or like I really needed a break, but as soon as Ramadan's done, you're like, I really should have just used that time, because now Ramadan's gone. I can't go back and change it. And you just like, if you only overlooked your tiredness, if you only overlooked all of those things, you would have so much more like barakah-filled time. But we kind of, you know, prioritize the wrong stuff as well. And also shout out to you lots. because I do not know how you guys are working and working with children first and foremost. Like that's just, I don't know how you guys do that. Yeah, mashallah. I don't know how you do it, especially with the heat this past week. It's been, I don't know how you guys are going to do it, but may Allah aid you lots. Yeah, it's mad.
That's a good point though, Khola. I was just thinking about everything seems good, but one thing I'm not looking forward to is the heat of this country. It's like, I've never usually felt, I don't know how to explain, but in the UK, I never really felt thirsty during Ramadan. I never got like mad thirsty. I mean, I wasn't doing as much as you guys. I was like at home, but I never, even when I would like go out, I would never feel like mad, like thinking of thirst. But since I've been in this country, I get thirsty. Like I feel always hot and dehydrated, like every second. I always need to drink. Like we can finish like a 20-liter bottle in like a couple of days. Like we drink a lot because you just feel so hot. That's the only thing I'm not looking forward to. But we don't have as many hours as you guys. You guys have a lot of hours. What time do you break your fast now?
Maghrib is currently at 7:30 something.
Yeah, so, but it's gonna go towards 8 something by the end of Ramadan.
And what time is Fajr?
Fajr is at 5
5
o'clock.
5
To
something.
be
Yeah.
fair, Ramadan's been harder than it is now. Like, I think 2 Ramadans ago, I think
That's
Fajr was
true.
up until even 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And then Iftar was past 9 anyway, nearly 10. So honestly, it's getting easier.
I
You can't really
remember-
complain in that aspect.
That's actually true. Reflecting on my last year of uni in 2019, didn't help that my dissertation deadline was literally the beginning of the 10 last days. So I submitted it and then I was like, Alhamdulillah, became perfect in time. I remember that time we used to break our fast at like 9. That was in May. Yeah, 9 o'clock. But now it's 7:30 and I'm like, yeah, doable. It's fine.
That really is.
But I want to go back to what Khola was saying about like Ramadan journals and commercializing and stuff. That's one thing I'm going to try out this year is using a Ramadan journal in hopes that it will keep me focused and keep me on top of my tasks and keep me on my toes in terms of, I'm not advertising or anything of that sort. It might have worked for some people, might have not. This is my first time using it this year to make sure that I am, the goals that I've set at the beginning, I'm keeping track of them. And I guess timetabling and making sure that everything is in one area rather than having half here and half there sort of thing.
I don't really think the issue is with using those, especially if, for example, say you've used them in the past and they work so well for you, then alhamdulillah, that's brilliant for you, because that's a really good way. For some people, having those journals or notebooks and just jotting down what they need to do or schedules or whatever will really work for them.
Yeah.
But I think it was more about the prep beforehand, like looking forward to having those journals, and all your attention goes to finding the best, hunting for the best Ramadan journal you can. Like,
the best
I think
looking one and so on.
But I know for a fact, I know people who use Ramadan journals and it does work for them. I'm just not that kind of person, to be honest.
Yeah, I love Ramadan journals. For me, what I like about them, it's not that I would choose like the best one. I mean, obviously if you have a pretty one, it's pretty. But what I love about it is I have one for every past Ramadan. So before the next Ramadan, I'll look back into that and I'll try and make my goals for the previous, the present Ramadan. I try to make it better than the last, and like from having my previous Ramadan journals, I know everything from my last Ramadan, all my goals, everything I achieved, the du'as, whatever was in there. I knew I maximized that journal to the most, so that when I go to do like my new journal, I just like before the Ramadan starts, I look through that just to remind myself of, alhamdulillah, I didn't achieve this, but I did achieve this. And then in my new one, the ones that I didn't achieve, I'll try to for the next. So for me, it's like I have like a reminder of each Ramadan that I've had, and for me I like that, and I like organizing myself. Obviously I wouldn't spend so much money on one, or like you said, like make it like, oh, it's all about having, if I have one, alhamdulillah, some people, like Aisha said, it works for you and you'll maximize it to the best. I wanted to say this, I watched a video the other day and it kind of made me a little bit upset. It was like, like those on YouTube where people are like doing their like Ramadan prep and everything. And I never click on these videos, but I don't know why I clicked on this one, and I was like, a sister. But it was just like, because these people are YouTubers, and that's their job, and I understand that. But, they were just, but the whole video of this Ramadan prep, it was only speaking about like,
like, okay, what they're going to make for food, and then decorating the house because it's like good for children. I agree with that 100%. Like, I decorate my house during Ramadan. I like having more siblings. It was always nice, like, to just show them like Ramadan is special, because when you think about it, if we look in the UK, for example, like you guys were speaking about earlier, like Halloween and Christmas and was it Thanksgiving and all of this, you know, how many like literally they prepare from November, right, to just decorate their houses for Christmas. In November, I see all these Christmas sales going on, and you know, Christmas things going on in the shops, and you know, people buying Christmas presents, and then you see all the lights going up outside people's houses like a month in advance, and they're all preparing for it. And then kids see that and they're thinking, but when you have like a special occasion like Ramadan and Eid, nothing happens. The house isn't decorated, you know, it's not fun. Some people don't even pull their kids out of school. Do you get it? So what are we showing our children? So I do understand that. I do see there's a benefit in that. However, like I just remember her saying something specific, and she was just like, oh, I'm going to be consistent during Ramadan posting videos so that you guys are basically entertained and not bored. And for me, it just felt like entertainment during Ramadan. Do you get it? Like, yeah, be with your family, but you want to maximize on time management. Why is it like, oh, in that time you're trying to wait to break your fast and you're impatient and bored, you want to sit down and watch a video just for entertainment purposes? It just felt a bit like you're you're just trying to like commercialize, like, okay, Ramadan is like a period of time, but it wasn't anything like nothing was specifically Ibadah based, or nothing was specifically like it just felt sad, like the fact that you can like tell your audience or whatever. It's like, yeah.
I was going to bring up something similar to that earlier. I was thinking, like honestly earlier I was thinking, I can't imagine how many Insta sisters right now are planning out like every single outfit they're going to wear in Ramadan, like all the food prep TikToks and reels they're going to make. It just seems like that's what Ramadan has become about. I literally had someone like ask me today, what are you going to wear for Eid? Ramadan hasn't even come, and we're wondering like about our Eid outfit, and we're just looking forward to celebration and stuff like that, and we're not thinking about the whole month that we need to be increasing our ibadah and doing better deen-wise. We're just thinking, what your Eid present you're going to buy, what's your Eid outfit. It's quite scary actually how many parallels you can draw with the, you know, secular and the, like, you know, the Christian celebrations and stuff, because that's basically what all of their stuff is about. You know, Christmas is about a month of buying presents in the lead up to, you know, Christmas Day. Easter is all about this. Yeah, it's basically it's becoming more and more similar, the way that people are focusing on Eid and Ramadan as like these massive celebrations, and they're not looking at the spiritual stuff they are meant to be focusing on.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. It's like, yeah, Eid is a lovely time and you want to benefit, but you've got a month until then. Like, why is it? I mean, I guess if you don't want to be preparing like Eid presents the last 10 days, you can also add that to your Ramadan prep a month before. But like we said earlier on, your mindset should be like mentally preparing for Ramadan, like evaluating. Like you said, like there's not enough time in the day. Like even when I moved here, one thing I think I mentioned this to all of you guys, is I feel like there's a lot more barakah in time here, whereas I never really felt that in London. I felt like don't you feel like time just goes very, very fast in like the UK? Like before you know it, like 3 hours have gone past, and you think, oh my days, like how did 3 hours just pass me, you know? Or it's already iftar time. Or I just felt like time really went, so I would make the most out of like every little thing, because I was scared that it would slip away and I wouldn't make the most of it, you know. Just thinking about like,
if you were here, you would be shocked at how fast time goes now compared to when you even left for Saudi. Literally, I'll sit down and it's already 7 p.m. I don't know how that even happens.
You know, when I came back for that little short period of time, I was obviously in Saudi for like 3 months before that, and it wasn't that long ago. And when I came back, I just felt like, what happened? Like I just felt like, obviously I had to get used to the time difference firstly, and then I also had to get rid of like the fact that time was just going fast again, and I didn't deep it until I've been in this country. Like alhamdulillah, in this country you can have a nap like for an hour between Dhuhr and Asr, and you feel like, you know, like in the UK, if you did that, you would regret it when you wake up. Like having a nap, I used to regret having a nap because I just felt like that nap, even though I was so tired, I just felt like I wasted those couple of minutes in my day and I don't have time to remake them. But here I just feel like I have so much, I just have so much time. I just feel like the day doesn't end. Like I just feel like I'm doing so much in my day. And sometimes I have to actually have to sit down and say, like, when is the day gonna end kind of thing? Like I'm always trying to do something to just fill up my day. Because alhamdulillah, like the time that I feel like there's so much barakah here. So I don't want to like waste it this time. Whereas in the UK, you don't want to waste it either because you know, like it's quite obvious that the time just flies. And then, like you said, like also thinking about how this could be like, that's why I wanted to bring that in before, is so that people aren't thinking about how many times a day they're going to post, like you said, hold on Instagram, or you know, what they're going to like. It needs to be like you're mentally preparing to the fact that you are doing this for the sake of Allah, and that you want to be, you know, forgiven and rewarded, and you know, you want to make the most, like, you know, the shaitan is locked up, you know, gain new habits, gain new motivation, you know, accomplish something. Even if you accomplish, like with yourselves, just say, you know what, I'm going to finish Juz Amma, or I'm going to learn a surah every day, so I finish a Juz. You know, like it's a small goals like that. If you feel like you can do it, then you can do it. Challenge yourself. You know, if hifz is not something you normally do, you know, try and do it for, because you're challenging yourself to make your body used to that kind of challenge so that you can continue it. I think what we should all think about is how we're going to continue the lifestyle we have after Ramadan. I think we spoke about this last time. I don't know. I think Hola mentioned it, but one thing that used to make me upset is, you know, when Eid comes, it's like Eid is literally the day after the last day of Ramadan, isn't it? And you just see like free mixing, music coming out, full faces of makeup, you know, and I'm just thinking, like, how do you feel happy with yourself doing all these stuff when Ramadan just ended, you know? Like Eid is supposed to be also like a day of, like, we start our day, our Eid day, with salah, like with a form of Ibaadah, you know? And then we enjoy it. But you've like, it's like, it feels like don't you feel like you've wasted a whole Ramadan? And then you just go back to like doing, like sinning literally on Eid day. Like it just, to me, it's like how it just makes me upset. And
we've kind of lost the essence, I think, of Ramadan. That's what it is. Like I've seen people, like basically what you mentioned about the YouTube sister that was cooking, you know, and she was saying, you know, keep your lots entertained. It's just become a thing of, you know, how can I waste these couple of hours before iftar? How can I pass the time? That's what the culture is now. Instead of how can I utilize my time wisely and do my ibadah and things like that, it's how can I waste the time? It's all kind of a countdown to eat, which is like obviously food and whatever. It's great. So it's a countdown to that, and then the whole month becomes a countdown to Eid, because, you know, vibes and everyone wants to dress up and eat and go celebrate. It's literally a countdown on a daily basis, and a whole month becomes a countdown to a big celebration, because we've lost the essence. We've forgotten what Ramadan is about in the first place.
Yeah, I think that's why it's another good thing is, like, before Ramadan and during Ramadan, is read like books on seerah and read books on, you know, the Sahaba and the Sahabiyat, because it just shows you a little glimpse of how Ramadan used to be, and maybe you can incorporate those kind of practices, because I know times have changed and society is very different, and like the way you live and is very different. But sometimes going back to the root of how they did, you just feel like Ramadan then was so important to people. Like they made the most of it in terms of ibadah, like praying, staying up all night. You know, sleep didn't even exist for a lot of them, you know, and it's like, subhanAllah, like, I wish I was that strong, because I could never do that, but it's like a good reminder for you. But have you guys ever heard like some people who are like, oh, I need to stop from music just for Ramadan? Like, it's like, imagine just stopping it because you feel like it's wrong, or you cover up just for that month, but then you take it off. How are you proving to yourself that you're trying to make goals for Ramadan, or you're doing it for the sake of Allah?
Lima, with those individuals, and may Allah guide them and us, it does go down to their intentions and their perception of what Ramadan is. And it does take knowledge for you to actually grasp the idea that it's not only the month of Ramadan that you're supposed to not listen to music and dress a certain way and not mix and not do this and not do that, but it's actually a whole lifetime. And again, it goes down to how much knowledgeable they are about their own deen. And like I said, may Allah guide us and us, because we're not perfect as well. But it is highly recommended to study our
Yeah.
deen, to figure out exactly what our fara'id, what our obligations are. The hijab is an obligation at the end of the day, and it's not a one thing that I'm going to put on for a whole month and then take it off. Okay, put on for a whole month, you've tested yourself, you've figured out that you actually can do it. Continue your good deeds. You've stopped yourself for listening to music during that month. Continue. Psychologically, if you do so, Khalid, correct me if I'm wrong, if you do something for a consecutive amount of days, consistently, with
21
the
days, I think.
intention, it becomes a habit at the end of it. So if you haven't been listening to music, continue it, because you will automatically realize that this is the new you, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. And you know that term, I've heard that term a lot, Ramadan Muslims, and I think in the social media realm, that term for them has sort of been used to sort of, I guess, shame them in a way, because all the people who do those sins and then they stop for Ramadan, it's a bit like, from what I've seen on Twitter, and well, mainly Twitter actually, it's all like taking the mick out of them, like, oh, well, you stopped that sin for Ramadan, but then you carried it on. And I think when it's very easy for us lot who were people like us who have been blessed with, alhamdulillah, either being raised practicing from a practicing Muslim family or are practicing, and that it is Allah who blessed us with that guidance, and it's Allah who blessed us with that knowledge. And we could very well be those people who are not practicing, you know. And I've heard in my own, like, from people that I know and friends, etc., in the past, who have said, like, oh, I'm going to stop this for Ramadan. And it is quite easy to think, like, well, if you could stop it for Ramadan, then why can't you carry on? And that should be the aim. Like, whatever, even now, whatever goals we have, not just stopping sins, but increasing our ibadah. If we can increase ibadah during Ramadan, why can we not continue that ibadah afterwards? Having that consistency before Ramadan, well before Ramadan, so that when Ramadan comes around, it's not like, oh, I have to prep myself now. You're already in that routine. But then not everyone is in that same position. And it links to what you were saying, Izzy, about having that knowledge. Because like I said, knowledge and guidance is from Allah. And, you know, may Allah guide the Ummah to that which is right. But those who are trying, and those who say those things, at the very minimum, they are trying. They might not be in the best position to with family or with friends or the environment they're in, but they've put that effort in. And I guess the dua that we can make for them is, it might change hearts, you know. Maybe that sister who, I've heard this a lot and I've seen it a lot on social media, where they want to try it for Ramadan. So the intention is not there to continue it, but perhaps them trying it is what has led them to. How many people do we know after Ramadan have improved drastically? Even
100%.
ourselves, if we think about it. Like, that could be the turning point for them. And it might not be this Ramadan, might not be the next Ramadan, and, you know, but it could be them making that decision to try it so that it could lead them to what is good. Inshallah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree with the point about the Ramadan Muslims and whatever. I do think it's been used kind of, I don't know, maybe derogatory is kind of a strong word, but it has been used kind of to put them down. And it's easy to say, why can't you think, like, why can't you keep doing that act of ibadah? But Allah's, one of the virtues of Ramadan is that the shaitan is locked up. Of course, you're going to find it harder to sin, you know? So you are going to, you know, try put the hijab on. And also, to be fair to a lot of those people, in terms of knowledge, surprisingly, a lot of them don't think the actions that they're doing are haram. For example, the hijab, a lot of the girls, they don't think hijab is obligatory, or they don't think music's haram, but they believe, oh, it's best I stop it in Ramadan. Maybe it's not the best thing to do in Ramadan. It's haram in Ramadan. That's genuinely what the beliefs are out there.
And that's
we
good
can't
in
just
itself.
brush them
The
all
fact
with
that
the same, you know.
and the fact that they're even acknowledging that this is wrong, and you know, just the acknowledgement that in the back of their minds they know that this is not right for me to do, and I'll stop. Or if I think, you know, I'm not doing enough, let me do more. That thought itself could be what leads you to do even more good.
And my personal advice to sisters like that are taking that, I would say, brave step to, you know, reduce whatever they've been doing before Ramadan and, you know, try it out in Ramadan, is when you're trying it out, research it. Find out the For example, if you're choosing to stop music during Ramadan, research why is music haram and so on, what are the ulama saying about it and so on. Same goes to hijab and so on. That way, by the end of Ramadan, you're coming out with knowledge about what you've just stopped, and potentially, and inshallah, it will carry on for the rest of your life. As in, you will take that on for the rest of your life.
You made like a good point about how may Allah guide them, like, and three of you made really good points. It's just like sometimes it's good to like, since obviously this is like for the public, there's obviously loads of people that are going through their own certain things. It's just like a good reminder to remind you, like, your intention, like for example, someone might not have like good intention, but their intention is to stop all these things after Ramadan, let's say. But like you said, something will actually come out good. Like more they're doing it, it becomes a habit. And, those intentions, inshallah, we make dua might change during Ramadan, whatever. And we ask Allah, to guide us all and forgive us all, and, to, accept our efforts during Ramadan, and that, we hope that we all have, the best of intentions for this month, and that we do our best. But it's also good to have insight of like I think Aisha just said, like, God forbid, like we could be in those shoes where we didn't have knowledge, or we were those what they call those people, but alhamdulillah we're not. And like it's also another proof that we should be grateful for everything we have. Like we should be grateful that alhamdulillah we have like families that brought us up on Islam, and then we should be grateful that we're holding on to that, and that we're not in that. So like it's also another thing of like just reminding ourselves of all these different things kind of just shows us like what we should be grateful for, even if like let's say you don't have certain things, but look at all the things that you do have, and like just kind of showing, like having, like remembering all the things that you're grateful for during Ramadan will really, really help with certain actions and certain things that you do. And then we just ask Allah to forgive us all and to guide us all, and that inshallah, like even this like podcast today, that it benefits people, and that it is a good reminder to those that are struggling, and that's why we speak about loads of different topics in like an episode, and it just flows, is because we just want to like remind ourselves and remind others of these different things that can happen. Like for example, even between us three, we're all going through us four, sorry, are all going through different times in our life, and how we're going to juggle our own Ramadan. Like one's in uni, two are working, one is married and working, and one of us is, alhamdulillah, like not doing much for herself, but still going to try and, make the most of, this month from what we've been given and what we have. And that's not to say like our Ramadan, like one person's Ramadan is going to be better. Like I can't say, oh, because I'm in a Muslim country and that I'm not doing work, but I'm just doing Islam, and my Ramadan's going to be the best. No, someone who's working or has kids and could be getting way more like reward than me in their Ramadan, because of the amount of like stuff they have to juggle in order to have Ibaadah, like their rewards can be piling up more, so everyone's Ramadan is going to be based on their intention and what they're doing for that. And as much as it's to say is like we want to help other people, but it's also during that month to also, you're kind of selfish as well, like you want to do the best for yourself, and your goals are your goals. You're not stopping yourself to think. You obviously encourage people, you're going to help people, you're going to do this, but you're also going to majority of the time be thinking about yourself and your own goals to get out of it. So inshallah we all have a good Ramadan, and that we make the most out of it, and we make a lot of dua, and inshallah make a lot of dua for each other, inshallah, and for the ummah, and for everything that's going on, and help each other when need be, and then also enjoy it as well. Like don't make it a difficulty for yourself or like a burden. Like make it seem like a nice time, and you just enjoy it at the same time as going through it, if that makes sense.
Take it as a journey sort of thing, basically. Yeah.
Defo, and amen to all those du'as. So jazakumullah khairan for tuning in for today's episode. I think we covered most of what we wanted to say, and inshallah the advice that we've given was a reminder to all of us, first and foremost, and to anyone else who is listening. Also, don't forget to keep an eye out for our upcoming online event during Ramadan with some exciting guest speakers, which inshallah will be very beneficial. So yeah, keep an eye on our Instagram. And on that note, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.